Welcome back. Breaking news overnight. President Trump designating Nicolas Maduro's Venezuelan regime a foreign terror organization, ordering a total blockade of oil tankers entering or leaving the region. The president wrote on Truth Social last night, Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. It will only get bigger until such time as they return to the U.S. all of the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole. The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves: drugs, terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping. U.S. military forces striking 3 suspected narco-terrorist boats in the Eastern Pacific, killing 8 aboard. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth defended the operations and also discussed why he's not releasing the full video of September's double-tap strike. Watch this.
It is the 22nd bipartisan briefing we've had on a highly successful mission to counter designated terrorist organizations, cartels, bringing weapons meaning drugs, to the American people and poisoning the American people for far too long. So we're proud of what we're doing, able to lay it out very directly to these senators and soon to the House. It's all classified, but in keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course we're not going to release a top secret full unedited video of that to the general public. Hask and Sask and appropriate committees will see it, but not the general public.
Joining me now from the Heritage Foundation Center for National Security is former Pentagon official and Navy Captain Brent Sadler. Brent, thanks so much for weighing in here. What is your reaction to all of this?
Yeah, I don't think releasing the full video, even if it was declassified, serves much more of a purpose. But it certainly gives a lot of fodder for propagandists out there to use and to try to continue to attack the administration's decision to go after the cartel's bottom line.
What about this whole idea of designating Maduro's regime as a terror foreign organization? Your reaction?
Well, I think it's inevitable. I mean, everything this regime touches and everything that's supporting it is illicit in one form or another. And they certainly have friends who are terrorists like Hezbollah, the IRGC from Iran, who are actively operating in and through Venezuela, mostly through their money laundering and their other cash-making illicit networks, but they're there nonetheless. And so I think it's inevitable. I think it's probably to be expected.
Let me get your take on Ukraine and Russia, because the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, says a very workable peace plan could be presented to Russia within days. After recent marathon talks with American and European allies, the U.S. is offering Ukraine NATO-style security guarantees if Zelensky accepts this plan, though he refuses to cede any territory to Russia. President Trump says negotiators are close to sealing the deal, partially due to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Watch this.
People love Steve, and I think we're going to be pretty close. I mean, we're going to see. I thought the easiest war to settle would be Russia-Ukraine, because they have a good relationship with Putin. It would have never happened if I were president.
Brent, your reaction?
It's hard to be optimistic. I mean, and also the notion that there might be a Christmas ceasefire, at least a pause in hostilities. I mean, the Russians are doing their seasonal attacks against Ukraine's energy sector to try to freeze out the civilian population. And, you know, this Christmas, or Orthodox Christmas, which is 7 January, it could likely see some positive trends with the transfer of POWs, prisoners of war on both sides that we've seen in the past. But until there's significant pressure brought to bear both on the battlefield as well as the bottom line or the pocketbook on Moscow, it's hard to see how Putin is compelled to enter seriously a lasting ceasefire. And that's going to require harsher actions against China's economic support, industrial support to Russia, and certainly trying to get an alternative and get the Indians off of Russian oil as well.
Well, I mean, look, we've got more tensions even in the South China Sea as well after the Chinese Coast Guard shot water cannons at Philippine fishing boats last week. The move injured multiple people on board, and the Philippines called this act dangerous and inhumane. China says the Philippines provoked the incident, Brent. Your reaction here?
Yeah. I've seen this video over and over again. I mean, play a year and months of now with China and the way that they bully its neighbors across the east as well as the South China Sea. It's important to note that just a couple weeks ago, you had historic high levels of Chinese naval assets, ships and aircraft at sea in what normally is a quiet time of year in the winter months. Currently, the Fujian, the latest Chinese aircraft carrier, is just completing sea trials. So there's a lot of military activity while you're having this very violent kind of tussles and these disputed features in the South China Sea. Very clearly, the Philippines have been following, I think, a successful policy of exposing. But until, again, more is brought to bear on cost for the Chinese on doing this, we're just going to keep seeing it.
Well, I mean, how would you assess President Trump's foreign policy moves in this first 11 months, given the fact that we've seen Venezuela on the march, Russia on the march, China as well?
Refreshingly explicit in where America's red lines are, and also the willingness to use force. Most notably, that was underscored with the attack on Iran's nuclear weapons enterprise in the summer. But unfortunately, probably going to have to exercise that military utility probably even more than what we're seeing against the cartels in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, to really get Moscow and Beijing's attention in a meaningful way. And that doesn't mean you have to strike them militarily, but you certainly need to show them the hammer a lot more visibly.
Yeah, and we should also add to the list radical Islam, which has been obviously coming up now just recently with these recent attacks, and of course, President Trump responding. But you mentioned that Iran attack could not be more important, of course, in this first 11 months for the president. Brent, thank you. Brent Sadler joining us.